Harry, so welcome back to my channel. Tell recently I'm doing a bunch of Harry Potter videos because I intended to do sort of a discussion video at the end of my reread, but then realized that I have so many different subtopics that I want to talk about, so I decided to split them up into several videos. If you're curious, I will put a playlist of all previous videos in the description, and now let's just jump into this one. Today I wanted to talk about my biggest issues with the Harry Potter series. Let me just preface this by saying that I love this series. I gave all the books 4 or 5 stars. I really enjoyed them upon rereading them last week, and overall, this is a fantastic series. But that doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it doesn't mean that it is flawless. And today I want to just talk about the 3 biggest things that really bothered me with these books. On place 3, we have Dumbledore's complacency and inactivity throughout most of the books, particularly the first few. We are constantly being told throughout all 7 books that Dumbledore was one of the greatest wizards that ever lived, and he was so powerful and all-knowing, and in a lot of situations it seems to literally know everything that's going on at any given point in time. So then why is he letting children go look for the Philosopher's Stone? So why doesn't he know that Quirrell, a professor he has invited into his own school, is literally carrying Voldemort around with him? Especially in the first few books, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are literally just children, I feel like they're getting into way more trouble than they should be getting into if Dumbledore really is as all-knowing as he's made out to be a lot of the times. Number 2 is Voldemort's ridiculous schemes of getting at Harry. Obviously, Voldemort spends most of his time in the 7 books trying to first recover his body and then get at Harry so that he can kill him. But in a lot of cases, the schemes he comes up with just don't make all that much sense if you think about it. For example, in the Goblet of Fire, he goes to the trouble of making Barty Crouch Sr. reinstate the Triwizard Tournament and making Barty Crouch Jr. Ensure that Harry gets picked as a champion and help him to get through the challenges just so that he can touch the Triwizard Cup at the end that has been turned into a portkey and go meet Voldemort at the graveyard? Is there some sort of rule that says only the Triwizard Cup can be turned into a portkey here? Like, to me it does not make any sense at all why they will go through all of this trouble just to hand Harry a portkey. Mad-Eye Moody spends a lot of time alone with Harry Potter throughout the book, and he could have increased that time even more under the pretense of, I don't know, giving him sort of extra lessons or talking to him about this or that. It would have been so easy to just grab him, hand him any old thing, turn it into a portkey, and get him to the graveyard. It definitely would have been a lot easier than to stage this entire Triwizard Tournament just so he maybe makes it to the end. I don't know, the risk here seems much bigger than the reward, and just the effort involved just isn't worth it when there's so many more easier ways to do it. That's really my biggest criticism here, is that a lot of the times Voldemort just doesn't take the easy way, even though there are many more glaringly obvious options. Like, for example, in the Order of the Phoenix, when he sends Harry a fake vision of him torturing Sirius in the Department of Mysteries at the Ministry of Magic to lure Harry there to pick up the prophecy that he himself could also have picked up but chose not to. Especially since at the time the Death Eaters actually cleared the entire ministry of ministry personnel, and even though Voldemort himself actually ended up coming to the ministry after all, they somehow didn't think to just clear the ministry for Voldemort and then have him pick up the prophecy. It seems so unnecessary to even involve Harry in this. Sure, if the situation was different and there were still ministry officials there and they thought Harry could much more easily sneak into the ministry than the Dark Lord himself, then yes, I think it would make sense to lure Harry there. But when he gets there, literally no one is there besides a bunch of Death Eaters. So this entire thing makes no sense to me, and if Voldemort really is as smart as he is made out to be, I think that he would have realized this himself. And my number one biggest issue with the Harry Potter books is the constant, and I mean constant, Slytherin hate. This all starts in the very first book when Hagrid actually says to Harry that any wizard or witch that has ever gone bad has come out of Slytherin. This is telling us that students of Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw are literally incapable of being evil. That being said, the qualities that Silas Slytherin apparently looked for in his students aren't actually all that negative if you think about it. They're hardworking, they're ambitious, they are loyal, and all of these things are definitely positive qualities, and I don't see why the Slytherin house had to be so demonized throughout the books. You don't even have to read the books all that closely to realize that Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw are always like this group of sort of people that are standing against the Slytherins, even though I don't think that they necessarily deserve it. Especially considering that at the time of sorting, all of these children are literally 11 years old, and I don't think that putting people in a house and then demonizing it and telling them like this is the house all evil people come from is gonna be the best way to make sure that they don't become evil people. The Slytherin hate just increases with each individual book, especially when we look at the fact that Harry, Ron, and Hermione have plenty of friends from Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, but never once any friends in Slytherin, and that there's literally never been a Slytherin pupil that has done anything good in the books. Sure, Snape and Slughorn both were in Slytherin and they have redeemed themselves, I guess, as adults, but still the Slytherin pupils in the school are literally all bad people and bullies. So I think that definitely sends a really negative message all around. I feel like the book does try to kind of really back in with the epilogue in book 7, where Albus, Harry and Ginny's son, is worried about becoming Slytherin, and Harry tells him not to worry about it because he's named also after Severus, who was a Slytherin and he was one of the bravest men he ever knew. So sure, that could have been a mini redemptive moment, but at the end of the day, that's not enough. That's definitely not enough to counteract all the Slytherin hate in previous books. It also really rubbed me the wrong way when at the Battle of Hogwarts in book 7, all Slytherins collectively refused to fight against Voldemort and instead joined him and his Death Eaters. This situation to me would have been much better suited for a moment of Slytherin redemption, where maybe even just a few students could have just stayed behind to everybody's surprise maybe even, and shown that Slytherin isn't just 100% evil people that are all just like ready to become Death Eaters and join the Dark Lord. Overall, I just think that Slytherin is an underrated house and a mistreated house and a demonized house throughout the books, and I think that is a big mistake because that could have added so many more interesting layers, showing that not only the purported to be good people can have more sort of facets to them, and that they also sometimes act in a morally gray way. People that are alleged to be evil sometimes have moments of redemption and sometimes have moments of goodness in them. And that's, I think, a point that was actually really important but was completely omitted in the books. We never actually see any evil character show a moment of goodness, whereas we definitely see plenty of good characters show moments of weakness, and I think that's a very one-sided way of showing it. I think the character that j.k. Rowling tried this with was Draco Malfoy, but even here it fell completely short because the only kind of redemption he gets is Harry, Ron, and Hermione saving his life several times in the last book, but he himself doesn't actually ever officially switch over to the good side or do anything to support them, so I don't really think that that counts as him being redeemed, and you know, he's just kind of forgotten about at the end of the book, and then somehow he reappears 19 years later, nods to them, and all of their old like fights and whatever are forgotten. I'm sorry, but that's just not enough for me. That is completely inadequate in my eyes. And I'm actually really disappointed in this series for presenting these houses as either good and evil and not really acknowledging any nuances here. And that is it for my 3 biggest issues that I have with the Harry Potter series. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the things that I said in the comments down below. And if you have anything to add, please feel free to. I'm really excited to read the comments of this video. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for new videos every Tuesday and Friday. And I will see you very soon. Have a lovely week. Bye!